My name's David Althouse. I'm a hired man for farmer Mark Meyer down in Nehawka, Nebraska. We farm 2,000 acres. By the time we're done spraying, we've covered 4 because we go everything twice. And I operate the sprayer. We've got about 400 acres of bottom ground that's nice and flat, and the rest of it's all pretty decent hills and good-sized terraces. I'd only been working for Mark for about 3 years, and he didn't have the manpower around to ever be able to keep a sprayer going. So he had always had it custom sprayed, and he really wants to be able to get out in the field when it's time to go. And with the custom sprayer, we were usually waiting on them because they're trying to get somebody else done. So we thought it would be more efficient just to have our sprayer, and it doesn't cost any more to own your own sprayer than to pay somebody to do it with the prices they're charging. He was paying $5.25 to $5.50 an acre to have it sprayed, I believe. And we got to figuring we can own a sprayer. The payment a year would be real close to that or less than what we were paying a year to have a custom applicator do it. And we could get there when we want. We looked at a John Deere. It was a year-old machine. Looked like a good machine, but we had known about the Apaches from previous owners or other owners that have them. And I was impressed with the gear drive and the price for what you're getting. I think it's a very fair price for the same thing you'd be getting with a John Deere, and you'd be paying $20,000 to $30,000 more for a used John Deere when you can get a brand new Apache and save that much money on it. Most of the decision making was left up to me. What options we got on the sprayer, what sprayer we got, and I couldn't see a reason to spend all that extra money and have the more upkeep. I mean, you're buying a year-old machine with that John Deere, and it just didn't make any sense to me when you could have a brand new machine for less money and have just as good a machine with the Apache. That's what got me to it. And he left it up to me pretty much what I would prefer to run. And this is what I would prefer to run over the John Deere, in my opinion, so that's what we went with. The contact we made mostly was with farmers that had either Apache or John Deere or other brands of sprayers. We just talked to guys with Apaches, and we talked to farmers with John Deeres, and we didn't hear a whole lot of bad information on the Apache, so we couldn't see any reason not to go that way. We've got some pretty steep terraces, and that was the one thing on the Apache was the gear drive I liked. Instead of the hydrostat going up and over those terraces, it's not robbing the power from the motor. It seems to have plenty of power to do that. And on that the bottom that we farm, we had some spots where it would just never dry out. And this 2-wheel drive never had a problem at all with it. The gear drive would go through that very easily. And I could be spraying along, I'd get into a spot where I could start feeling it dragging a little bit, and you kick the throttle up a little bit or maybe kick up another gear and turn around and you're right back out of it. I never got worried about getting stuck with it. I don't think you need to be out spraying if you're needing 4-wheel drive to spray your fields. So it's not something I would lean towards having. It just worked really well in the soft soil. The most I have done in a day is roughly 250 acres. It was only about a half a day's worth of spraying. It would rain that night and it'd be dry up enough toward the afternoon so I could spray. I'd get started about noon, and by 5:30, 6 o'clock I was done with 250 acres. I like the 1,000-gallon tank. We do 12 gallons to an acre, so we can do 80 acres to a fill. 83 is what it actually works out to, but that works out good with us where we're splitting quarters pretty evenly, so I can do a field with one tank. It's efficient that way. I wouldn't mind having the 3-inch fill. It'd be a little faster. but the 2-inch fill works. You get to mixing a lot of chemicals. It gives you a little time to mix the stuff before the tank's full. Most of them are quarters that we spray. They're split up half and half between the corn and beans, so I'm doing 80 acres and 80 acres in each farm. There's a lot of little patches in them. We probably travel, I'd say, close to 7 or 8 miles to our furthest farm. I would say driving between farms and filling, it's probably taken us 30 minutes probably between ending a farm and being back to another one. That's your drive time and filling. I love the speed of it. It's great going down the road. First couple days were a little iffy because I'd never run, it's the first sprayer I'd ever run. But I tell you what, I ran it. I sprayed a couple tanks of water through it just trying to get used to everything, and within that second, I ran it 2 full days doing that, or not 2 full days, maybe a full day. And running that, I felt comfortable in it already. I love the auto steer. I love the AccuBoom, the shutoffs. I think that's wonderful. And the efficiency of it, I think it's very efficient. I feel pretty comfortable in the machine when I'm out in the field in it. It's got a nice ride. I don't have any trouble seeing anything outside of the back wheel. The wings, I don't have any trouble seeing them. I can always see if there's a nozzle plugged or something on them. There's plenty of room. I got room for my notepad where I can keep my records, everything in the cab. There's a nice place to keep it there where it stays. It's not sliding around everywhere. I have room for a lunchbox and water jug, and the seat's plenty comfortable. Mentally, I feel fine. With the auto steer and the AccuBoom and everything, you're not constantly thinking or keeping it on a straight line or trying to shut booms off. I try to stay between 9.5 and 10 mile an hour. It takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours to spray an 80-acre field. I can run a tank off in an hour and a half to 2 hours, just depending on how the going is. On a flat, I can have 80 acres done in an hour or under. I can do about 4 tanks to a full tank of fuel. I haven't actually worked out what that is gallons per acre, but that seems pretty efficient to me. I could spray a full day on a tank of fuel easily. Just the simplicity of the machine. If we want to work on something, we can do it on our own, just by looking at it. The parts are easily accessible. There's nothing really specialized on it that I've run into yet. But it's simple to do if you ever do have to do anything. I change the oil, I grease. That's all the maintenance I've had to do so far. Half hour to 45 minutes to grease everything, which most of it is the booms greasing. The drive lines every 100 hours or so, that takes about 15 minutes maybe. And oil change is another half hour. We do that every 100 to 150 hours. And it's simple to do. Everything's real easy to get to, and haven't had any problems with that. I would definitely brag up the gear drive. I love all the auto steer and the AccuBoom. That stuff, we haven't had any problems with that. The radar's always on, always works. I don't really have that many complaints in it. It's got plenty of power. It does great over the terraces and things. I can keep it at a constant speed. It rides nice, the visibility's nice, the cab's comfortable.